Good afternoon. So I'd like to welcome you to my presentation this afternoon. It's on bare metal server management, like shooting redfish in a barrel. My name is Richard Piosa. I'm with Dell EMC, and I work out of the Nashua offices just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. My contact information is there. So here's our lightning quick agenda. We'll cover what is ironic, an introduction to redfish, ironics, redfish support in Pike as well as Queens, ironic hardware types. I'll have a question for you this afternoon, and there'll be more information that I'll provide. And then a conclusion, and I'll hopefully have an opportunity to take questions. And finally, I'll give some shout outs to those that assisted. So what is ironic? I'm hoping that everyone here this afternoon knows what ironic is. It is basically bare metal as a service. It provides an API service and tooling to facilitate the lifecycle management of hardware in the cloud. I'll just breeze right through this. The thing that I really took away from the keynotes this morning is how much uptake there's been in ironic in OpenStack deployments. It's really increased over the last 6 months. So an introduction to redfish. So as I'm sure you're all aware, IT has many challenges today, and redfish attempts to address some of those challenges. It's a next generation systems management standard for an evolving IT environment. The DMTF, Scalable Platform Management Forum, created an open industry standard specification schema for simple, modern, and secure management of scalable platform hardware. It's a secure, multi-node RESTful management interface built on HTTPS. And it standardizes APIs for key use cases. Sorry. So a little retrospective, there were 2 releases in 2015 that were focused on matching IPMI functionality for servers, but with a modern secure protocol. The key takeaway there is that it was trying to match IPMI. Subsequently, in 2016, there were 3 releases that added functionality. Sorry, this is. Just going to go to the mouse.
Fast forwarding.
In 2017, the focus has been on improving the interoperability aspects of the specs and schemas and addressing areas of interoperable manageability that have not been covered. Also, in 2017, there are work in progress specs and schemas have been published for addressing additional functionality. So Redfish 2017.2 release is out. There's general information available at that website. There's also an overview of changes available at that other link. The SPMF is on track to produce 3 releases a year and has kept that pace since its initial release in August of 2015. December 2017 is targeted for the 2017.3 release. So I'd like to emphasize that Dell and the SPMF are driving development of Redfish with significant additions planned such as those that I've got listed here. And Dell is committed to meeting customer needs for open industry standards and will continually enhance support for Redfish and other standards as they evolve. So what's Ironic's Redfish support in Pike? Ironic introduced a library named Sushi that facilitates communications to and emulation of Redfish. Its scope has been limited strictly to what Ironic needs. It's a very simple library. And the idea is that over time it will be enhanced to meet additional needs as they are identified. And it should be noted that it's an Ironic sub-project. The second thing that was added in Pike in regards to Redfish support was an Ironic hardware type driver for Redfish with management and power interfaces. So it is a basic hardware type device driver. And there's administrative documentation available at that link. So what are Ironic's Redfish plans for Queens? The plan presently is to add sessions, Redfish sessions, to Sushi because some vendor implementations have disabled basic authentication and require a Redfish session to access resources. Hardware vendors are developing and testing Redfish support in their hardware type drivers. So what are Ironic hardware types? I've mentioned that term a couple of times thus far. It's fairly new. It can be viewed as a composable driver. They were first introduced experimentally in Okada, and they're now supported in Pike. Classic drivers are being deprecated in favor of these new hardware type drivers. So what's the motivation as to why these new hardware type drivers were developed? The driver interface matrix became increasingly complex, and many interfaces can be used by every driver, including those that I have listed, deploy and inspect. And Ironic had ended up with a complex and confusing driver naming scheme. So the benefits of this new type of hardware type driver is that it's one-stop shopping for a type of Ironic driver, such as one that would be for a single BMC, a baseboard management controller. Vendors can guarantee that unsupported interface implementations will not be used with their hardware type. And also it allows a user to switch the hardware type for a particular node. And additionally, a user can switch the interface implementations supported by a hardware type for an individual node. So this is a diagram that illustrates the relationship between a hardware type, a single hardware type, and its supported interfaces, as well as perhaps a BMC-specific library, such as what we have for our iDRAC. And the relationship is that you'll have one hardware type, and then for every one of the interface categories that I've listed there to the side, boot, deploy, management, power, inspect, there can be a list of supported interfaces. And those supported interfaces, in turn, can all utilize the services of that BMC library. So, which leads to a question that I have for you today. Which of the following approaches to providing Redfish support in hardware vendor hardware types would be easiest to administer? Would you prefer to see a single, to see a brand new Redfish hardware type? Alternatively, would you prefer to see the addition of new Redfish interfaces to an existing hardware type's list of supported interfaces? And finally, another option could be to add Redfish support so the library used by the existing hardware type supported interfaces to communicate with the BMC. So for more information, I'd like to suggest that you attend this afternoon's Ironic project update. And also, if you're interested in learning more about what Dell is doing, we would very much welcome hearing from you. We have set up a dev and ops lounge on level 4 where you can relax, enjoy a cup of coffee, and host a quick face-to-face meeting or simply catch up on email. Finally, I'd just like to leave you with Redfish is coming. It's going to replace IPMI, and while the primary target is OpenStack, there are other use cases that it can be used with. And if I have a moment for questions, I don't have a moment for questions. Okay, sorry. You can contact me with any questions you might have. I'd be pleased to try to answer them. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge those that assisted me with this presentation today. Thank you very much.